Okay, greetings, patriots, starseeds, light workers, and of course our brave military. Welcome to 1776 United, and we are in a worldwide and galactic revolution. Now, I have been working a bit, but I've had a chance to go over a couple of videos, and I need to comment on this, what's going on right now. And I want to say that every country out there that's talking, that you're hearing on the news and whatever, it's all bullshit. Everything is bullshit. What Trump is saying about, how he's on siding on with Bibi Netanyahu and all this other stuff and bombing, the nuclear sites in Iran, it's all bullshit. Trump's feeding a pack of lies on all this stuff to whatever's out there, and the media's eating it up. And so I am out here talking to my patriots to warn them and brief them not to buy into this bullshit that's happening right now. It's complete utter pantomime, if you want to call it. It's a movie. I mean, the things that is coming out of Trump's mouth, he says, people are saying, like, what the fuck is he talking about? Well, who knows what he's talking about? He's playing a mind game with, with the cabal. So it's not for you. None of this bullshit's for you. The bullshit that's coming out of Canada, the bullshit's coming out of UK right now about Starmer, bullshit coming out of Germany about all their other stuff, and it's all bullshit. Everything, okay, and I can back it up. I mean, if I'm just about ready to get on a plane just to go prove it for myself. But I know for a fact, when I was in Germany there last year, it's nothing what they're talking about, and it's so I don't want anybody to start drinking this Kool-Aid, start interacting with it, because it's not for you. It's to wake up the sleepers. And, the sleepers are, eating it up, hook, line, and sinker. And, and then all of a sudden because you have to understand, there's tens of millions of Christian Jews that are in the United States. If they were to get the truth out, exactly how much of a barbaric animal Bibi Netanyahu is, they come unglued, because their whole life and everything centers around them thinking that they're the God's chosen. What's going to happen when that bubble gets deflated? There will be a Christian psychosis meltdown like you have never seen before. And I think this is why Trump is, feeding them baby food right now, tit feeding them. Okay. So don't, we know the truth. We know what, all you have to do is talk to a Palestinian. God knows those poor people have been, absolutely evaporated by these criminal Khazars. And speaking of Khazars, I want to tell you something. When this shit went down in Israel about them genociding the Gaza, the Khazars were jumping ship. Okay? Like I said before, the Khazarian mafia are originated in Ukraine. Okay? Hold that thought. They're in that eastern Ukraine Khazar areas, that Donbass, very, very deep. And how they got as powerful as they did was going in to say, let's just say, for example, a banker, okay? They would find somebody in their cult that looked like that banker. Then they would go in and have, get set up and go in, have a movie, or get built up to have a meeting. Go into and have a meeting with this particular head of the bank. They would have to do work on him, study him, and get all his traits and how he did things and whatever. And then they would get somebody that's very, very similar to him. Go in, have the meeting, and kill that banker, and then replace him with this other guy, which was the Khazarian Mafia. And they did that all over the place. That's how they did. They masqueraded as other influential people. And that's what they did to Israel. So, Israel, got what they wanted in 1947. And they started taking more. And infiltration into Israel was the Khazarian Mafia. One at a time. Well, let's just hide behind the Jewish faith, right? Hide behind that. And everybody will say, well, we can do things here, but we're hiding behind this, this facade that, no, it wasn't us. Can't do that. No, we weren't diddling those babies. We can't do that. No, we're Jewish. We don't do that stuff, right? Of course, they're getting caught all over the world in pedophilia, and then of course they run back to Israel when they're on the run, and they hide there because they can't be extradited back to that particular country. So now that Israel's falling apart at the seams, they all packed their shit, and guess where they go? They went all back to Ukraine. They went back to Ukraine because there's a shitload of empty houses in the Eastern Bloc. And they just went in there and took it. They just went in and started moving into these empty homes everywhere. Why? Because that's what they do. They just take over things. They think that they have the right to do that. They're a very evil group, and they, if they want something from you, they'll come and take it. Like, they took over countries, and they'll never take over a country like Malta or, some, poor little country that has really no resource. They couldn't care less about that country. They go after big countries like Iran and, stuff like that. And the Rothschilds and Rockefellers and the Ossinis and, the Khazarian mafias out of the Eastern Ukrainian bloc are all in cahoots together. So they built an army over these thousands of years. And, and Putin knows about all this. He's been battling them, as long as he's been, come to power. Now, Russia's been battling them since 700, BC, or AC, after the death of Christ, 785 or something like that. That's how long they've been battling them. It's an evil cult, and they worship, they rituals and this, sacrifices and all that stuff. Complete barbarians, but they'll put on these, black robes and, these little beanie hats and whatever those hats are or whatever. And, we're innocent. They're just, that's what they are. And now that because Israel's falling, and Israel's, people are saying these wonderful things about that, including Trump. I don't know what fucking what's running through his head right now. I've always been a Trump supporter, but, and I still will be a Trump supporter because I know there's a motivation, or there's an agenda on what he's doing, but it just is fucking, I can't figure it out for the life of me right now. But let him play it out. Let him play out his little movie, he's going to do. And let any person that's out there say demonize him in any ways they want to demonize him. I'm just sitting back and observing, I'm not going to absorb this at all. And I want all my patriots out there to do the same thing. Don't worry about it. This is just part of the movie. So, Israel right now is being emptied out. And the ones that aren't going, the Jews or the Khazars that aren't going back to Ukraine have probably been caught. And the real Jewish people that could not deal with the breakup of the country and everything else and said that we have to leave, went back to Russia, or wanted to move into Russia and get on the side of of the Orthodox Christians, and because they want peace. And the Khazars that pretended to be Jews are moving into homes in the eastern Ukraine areas in empty homes. You have to understand there's 700 to 800,000, maybe even 1 million, maybe 1.5 million, Ukrainian men and conscripts that fell. Even people that were forced to go to, were picked up off the street, had to go to war. Didn't last a week inside, because they were thrown right to the front. I knew that back in 2020 when this first started happening, and all these gung ho GI Joe boys were around the world wanting to go in there and fight for Ukraine. Let's save Ukraine, right? I knew right there. I says no. I said you guys are going to get this is a trap. It's a complete trap. I even knew a guy that he come over to my place. He said, you got to stop talking, Alex, because you're going to get me killed. I said, no, I'm not going to get you killed. I said, you're going to get yourself killed by doing what you're doing. Now, I don't know if he came back or not. I know I moved, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's absolute insanity. Why would you want to go up against a war machine like that? But a lot of people woke up once they got inside Ukraine and found out that all these Ukrainian people were indoctrinated Nazis. And that, when they were washing up and taking off their shirt and washing up and whatever, you see all these, Third Reich paraphernalia, tattoos all over them, stuff like that. And they started, oh, Jesus, what, they're starting to look around and say, Jesus, they're all like that. And then they realize what's going on there. And a lot of them, says, I got to get my ass out of here. And that's what they did. They packed up their shit and walked over into Poland, walked into Hungary and wherever else they can get themselves out of. It was a gong show, and I told them not to go in the first place because I knew, being the history buff as I am, I knew exactly what happened and what was going on. And at that time, I realized that Putin was just defending his homeland. He was defending it because everybody was pointing missiles at it. So I knew what was going on. And I knew that, Zelensky, come on, in a clown suit, walking around there shaking his butt off, please. He's an actor, and then he gets put into the. I knew right there he was a cabal clown, just a puppet boy. I mean, it doesn't take much to realize it. And the fiasco going around right now, I can tell you again, quite confidently, that this is all a bunch of bullshit and it's all a bunch of lies. The only thing is the truth right now is people that are out there with no fancy shit, no green screens in behind them and stuff like that, and trying to put the word out there of what the truth is. And I got kicked off TikTok 4 times before they permanently eliminated me. I had, in those 4 years or 5 years that I had on TikTok, I should never have gone so far, but, I acquired at least 200,000 followers. And, I needed to be there to talk to them. And they, the Chinese, CCP just cut me off just like that. And I'm trying to get everybody over from there over to here and to, just to keep the truth going so we can, so we know what's going on. I'm not getting any pushback. I'm not getting any shit talk. And, like I said, we're just going to play it day by day. And I'm going to be here daily to try to get you, very important briefing in my best understanding on what's going on out there. And if I make a mistake, then I'll be the first to tell you. Okay? Bye for now. God bless.